علما.
So the next thing we'll talk about the different types of VLANs. So in our network, we can implement different types of VLANs. Like we have something called default VLAN. Default VLAN is nothing but the VLAN which is by default present. We'll see more in details. And then we have something called data VLAN where you connect the end users. A voice VLAN where you connect your VoIP phones, and management VLAN for management traffic, and also the native VLAN. So we'll be seeing one by one. Let's quickly get into some overview of one by one, starting with the default VLAN. The default VLAN is nothing but the VLAN which is by default present or exist, and the default VLAN will be VLAN 1. So if you want to verify, we can use a command called show VLAN brief. So here you can see there is a VLAN 1 present by default, and by default all the ports, whatever the ports you have, each and every active port will be present in the VLAN 1. Okay, so basically after you initially boot up the switch for the first time, or if you boot the switch, every port will be a member of the default VLAN as I said. So which means by default there is only one broadcast domain, which means if you connect a switch with some computers, or even if you connect to another switch here, so basically if any broadcast packet comes, it will automatically go to each and every port. Why? Because by default there is only one VLAN, and all the ports will be assigned to that VLAN so that they become a part of one broadcast domain. Okay, so this allows any network device to be connected to any switch, generally, communicates with each other, which means that, so that's the reason whenever you connect a switch here, and whenever I connect some computers here, and or even if I connect a switch and connect some other computers also, and if I assign an IP address from the same subnet, let's say I'm using 192.168.1.subnet. So basically they all will be able to communicate because they're all part of one single broadcast domain, that is VLAN 1. But once you separate them in multiple broadcast domains, so there is no communication, no unicast, no broadcast, or no multicast. So basically we can create the VLANs from 2 to 1001. So whatever the numbers you don't see here, so basically those VLANs we can create, and the VLAN 1 will have the same features of the other VLANs basically. So we can use that VLAN just like a normal other VLAN, except we cannot rename or we cannot delete that VLAN. So whereas the other VLANs which you are going to create, like from 2 to 1001 VLANs, basically these VLANs we can create, we can even delete them, we can rename them in the future. So any other VLANs, they do not come under default VLAN. So the VLAN 1 is a default, which is used for Ethernet, and again these are the specific VLANs for FDDI token ring networks, not really used in today's networks because we'll be using only Ethernet VLANs in our network. So the next kind of VLAN, we have something called data VLAN. Now data VLAN is also called as user VLAN, we call it as. Typically these VLANs are nothing but the links which are connecting to end devices or the PCs, generally the end devices, we call them as data VLANs. So basically from the PC, they generate some kind of traffic which is in the form of data, means like accessing a specific server, accessing specific computer, or generating a ping. So whatever the traffic generated by the end users, basically they all come under a data VLAN. Data VLAN, again, we can create this data VLAN additionally. So data VLAN is designated for user generated traffic. Again, you have to understand that this data VLAN is totally different from the voice VLAN, which we'll be covering next. So we have something called voice VLAN, where you connect some IP phones, and also a management VLAN is different, means you need to have a separate VLAN for data, for sending and receiving the data or communication. But basically VoIP or the management VLAN is used for a different purpose. And again, it's a common practice. We generally have a separate voice VLAN and a separate management VLAN, as well as we have a separate data VLAN for communication process. Just like you can take an example of computers who belongs to Mark accounts want to talk to each other. Maybe you can take an example of marketing computers or the sales users. So basically they want to communicate between them, or maybe they want to communicate between different VLANs also. Okay, so basically they send and receive the data from the end devices, and that's what we call as user generated data. So the next VLAN type, we have something called voice VLAN. So voice VLAN is a separate VLAN again, which is for supporting the traffic from an IP phone or voice over IP traffic. So which means whichever the interfaces, like you can see the interfaces here, are connecting to an IP phone, and from this IP phone you will be sending a VoIP traffic or the voice traffic, where you can make calls over the existing IP network. Now this voice VLAN is going to allow the access ports to carry the IP voice or IP voice traffic from an IP phone. That is nothing but a voice traffic. And it is also called as auxiliary VLAN or the aux VLAN. That is another name used for voice VLANs. So basically, to connect this IP phone, we'll be using the same UTP cable, the unshielded twisted pair cable we'll be using, and of course we'll be using the same Ethernet connection or the same Ethernet technology or Ethernet protocol is used for communication within the LAN. So this IP phone basically have inbuilt 3-port switch. Generally it has 3-port switch, or 3 ports we call it as, whereas one there are 2 types of connections. First, let me give an idea about the connections. IP phone can be connected directly to a switch, from where you can have a dedicated one dedicated port for IP phone traffic or the voice traffic, similar to as if we connect a computers to send your data traffic. So this is your data VLAN, and this will be your voice VLAN. So both the VLANs will be separate, so you're not going to use the same VLAN for both. So there will be a separate traffic, or the separate VLAN has to be designated for voice traffic also. So this is one option. So basically you have another option where you will be connecting on the same port. Like the problem with this one is you need to have one dedicated port for an IP phone, but most of the time you will see this IP phones generally sitting next to the computers. So basically having a dedicated port means for every IP phone you need a one dedicated port. That will increase the requirement of the ports in general. So basically what I can do is you can use the same UTP cable to connect the IP phone. So basically this IP phone will have a 3-port switch. In that, one port goes and connects to the switch. So 3 ports inside the IP phone. One is going to connect to the switch, and the other one is going to connect to the computer. Okay, so and the other one is basically an internal phone. So third one actually connects to the internal phone as well. So the one is for the internal phone. So the computers will be in the data VLAN, as I said, and the IP phones will be in a voice VLAN, which means even though you're connecting both a PC as well as an IP phone on the same port, now this port will be a member of voice VLAN as well as the data VLAN. So it will be carrying both the VLAN traffic on the same port. So in this case, you can have one single port can be a member of 2 VLANs if one is for the voice and the other one is for the data. So as I said, IP phone contains an integrated 3-port 10/100 switch, nothing but Ethernet or fast Ethernet ports is present by default on inside the IP phone. Now the other option, we have something called management VLAN. Now coming to the management VLAN, it is specially used for management traffic. Like we generally have a separate VLAN. Let's say we got an accounts department and we got some marketing department. Like here you can see here there is a separate VLAN for data, and let's say all the computers are connecting here. In that, again, you can have a separate accounts department, you have separate marketing department, you got separate sales department. Like that, you may have a different VLANs, and you will be having a separate VoIP VLAN, which is for carrying the voice traffic. Of course, you can have a separate VLAN for cameras, like that, but generally that comes under normal data traffic. But again, you will be using a dedicated VLAN for management purposes. The management in the sense, like we have seen in the previous sessions, we can access the switch remotely using a telnet option or SSH options. SSH will be covering in the security part. So when you are trying to access your switch remotely, so basically this is your management traffic, because here I'm not trying to send any kind of data. So there is a difference between the data traffic and the management traffic. Now, the difference is the data traffic where an account user is trying to access a web server, let's say. So that is your normal data traffic. An account user is trying to access internet, that is your normal request or a normal traffic, which will be considered as a data traffic. So which means all the users requires data traffic. But again, you do have a dedicated team, let's say an IT team, which is responsible for managing these devices remotely. If there is any problem, they need to log into the device, a telnet or SSH, and then or maybe they need to do some kind of logging. So we have an option of logging where you want to see the log messages, or maybe you have an SNMP protocol for monitoring basically, and even your telnet or SSH traffic. These all options comes under management traffic. Now you don't want this management traffic and the data traffic to be mixed. You don't want accounts computers or accounts PCs to manage your switch or a router remotely. So you may want to separate that. It is a best practice because generally you don't want these log messages or the SNMP traffic should be captured by the end users. So that is one kind of security vulnerability again. In the production networks, what we'll do is we'll be creating a separate VLAN called management, and from this VLAN will be from this PC. Like let's say there's an IT team placed in a separate VLAN, and from there you will be managing the devices. From there you will be placing some kind of servers which will be doing some kind of logging, or you have an SNMP traffic which will be sent on this. So normally VLAN 1 is used for management. Normally VLAN 1 is also called as management VLAN, but you can use this VLAN 1 for any other purpose as well. But the best practice is to have a separate VLAN for the management traffic. Like I can create a VLAN 100 which can be used for management, and basically VLAN 1 it is not recommended to use. Just it will be in shutdown. So basically you can simply go and say VLAN 1 shutdown, and you can simply make it shutdown, which means VLAN 1 is not used for any purposes. Okay, so again, one of the reason again you have a separate bandwidth for management will be available when the user traffic is high. That is one more reason. But again, the main reason is the security purposes. So again, Cisco recommends not to use the VLAN 1, as I said, and not to use any VLAN that carries the user as a management VLAN. So even though you can still use an accounts department PC and you can telnet to the switch, or you can place an SMP server somewhere in accounts VLAN, still you can do that, but it is not recommended. And to manage, you need to have an IP address. So we'll be assigning an IP for the VLAN 100. We'll be seeing that in the labs. And also we need to configure the default gateway if that particular device need to be managed remotely from a different LAN. So in brief, management VLAN is used for management traffic, and that should be as a part of a separate VLAN again.